Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Mr. Basker Rangachari, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for the Consumer Bank at Standard Chartered in Hong Kong. Basker, thank you very much for your time today. It's a pleasure to meet you and congratulations on the award. We might just ask you a few questions about what led to the bank winning this wonderful award. Basker, what do you believe to be the primary factor that led to Standard Chartered winning this award? And how do you think that the bank was able to overcome its competitors?
Firstly, it's nice to know we were able to beat a number of competitors in winning the award. So that's very good news. But if I kind of analyze why would we win, I would say there are a few factors that made the difference. The first is the way the concept was put together. It was not put together because someone in the bank thought, hey, this is a cool idea, let's go do it and run a marketing campaign. We actually took over a year to build out our loyalty strategy and what it should mean, what our total relationship means, which relationships matter, which ones do customers want to be rewarded for. So there was a whole range of work underneath that was done to prepare ourselves for what would a total relationship reward program look like and how it should look. The second thing then was really getting around to how we executed. And there I think we did something very, very smart. We started in Singapore first with a campaign that's talked about, shouldn't a bank reward you for doing nothing? And that's a very interesting way of paying attention, grabbing attention. And then in Hong Kong, we launched with a whole range of advertising and messaging, which was all about why shouldn't you get rewarded for basically just having the relationship with the bank and letting the bank make money off you. And that was sort of putting a stake in the ground.
It's a unique way of looking at
Absolutely. It's a very unique way because if you look at traditional loyalty programs in a bank, it's always around your credit card spend. Now, if you think about it for a minute, credit card spend, when you are young and starting life, you spend a lot and getting rewards feels nice. But actually, as you mature through, your relationship with the bank is actually a lot more on your asset side, your deposits, your wealth, the investments. So to get absolutely nothing on that and just get on the smaller portion of your balance sheet doesn't make any sense. So that thought process led us to, I think, firstly getting it. The final point I would make is around execution excellence. I actually think in Hong Kong it was executed extremely well. I can't take personal credit for all of that. It happened a little bit before my time, but I engineered it when I was the group head of loyalty. A lot of that work happened. And finally, we're beginning to see real results. In fact, our reward scheme got voted as the best reward scheme in Hong Kong by the priority banking customers in a research.
The award is for excellence in customer centricity. What internal cultural aspects or even unique external marketing aspects do you think led to Standard Chartered fronting the field in terms of customer satisfaction?
See, the loyalty program is one component of becoming customer-centric. It's not the Panadol or the answer to all your pains, right? It cannot just solve all the problems. So getting the loyalty program was one piece, but the internal culture piece was actually a whole customer-focused drive that our Consumer Bank CEO was driving down. So over the last 3 years, we've been on a journey to move from a product-centric organization or siloed to actually a customer-centric organization, which means you have to break down silos, you have to move authority lines, goalposts have to change. So there's a fair bit of culture that needs to be handled. And that has to be handled through transformation, workshops, teaching people what it means to be customer-centric, etc. The loyalty program becomes, in a way, the crown jewel in that picture, right? So it's not on its own the problem solver. The external marketing aspect, I think, is we actually tagged it a lot with our new brand slogan, which is here for good.
Yes.
Now, when we say we are here for good, there's a level of genuineness that needs to be built into it. And that's what we try to make sure the loyalty program does. So it's not about the highest points it gives you or the biggest air miles or the biggest cashback. So we didn't try to play just one element of the loyalty game, but it was more about we reward you on your full relationship, on everything you do with us, even when you're not transacting. Now, that kind of a promise came across much more genuine and it resonated with our customers. So my sense is it's both, is the internal culture and the external marketing message needs to come across as very solid.
Given that banking customers traditionally display fickle loyalty to their bank, whoever the bank may be, Why do you think it's taken the banking sector so long to recognize the value and power of a customer's holistic relationship with their bank? Customers providing bulk business to a supplier has been rewarded in other industries for eons. Why is the banking sector seeming to only just recently recognize the power of the customer's relationship?
I could probably share a personal opinion on this. It's definitely not a corporate opinion,
Please,
right?
please.
It would be my personal opinion on why I think so. I've worked in multiple industries, and not just banking, in retail, in manufacturing, etc. And you're right, there is a bit of a lag in how banks have caught up in terms of becoming customer-centric and really living that, not just verbalizing saying we're customer-centric.
Of course.
Right?
Actions speak louder.
Actions speak louder. And I think part of it is, if I go back, banking as an industry, if you look at it, banking started with people wanting to deposit their money someone safe, and then somebody wanting to borrow money. So the banks were simply a conduit between two people who anyway wanted to do something.
Yes.
So frankly, in the old days, I would guess you could be in a village, put a sign saying bank, and basically the money will come in on its own.
And the money will go out.
And the money will go out on its own. So frankly, all you did was made margins. So as long as you just worked on how much I give you and how much I charge you, you were home. So really, as a banker, there was really not a need to go out and get customers. Customers were coming to you. Even the smallest banks were getting somebody, right?
Yes.
But I think what changed over a period is, as competition intensified, as customers became more savvy, there was a bit of customer push. But banks also, as they grew bigger and bigger, they actually realized that the big banks were losing business to some smaller institutions that did not have, as many different departments. So that started driving, saying, are we really doing what's right for the customer? The second thing I think that happened is banks were no longer just run by bankers or career bankers. A lot more other industry people started coming into banking. And I think that created a culture change of, why would we do that?
As you mentioned yourself.
Yes, like for me. So when you come into banking for the first time, you go, why wouldn't we reward the customer? Why wouldn't we do this? So
Yes.
that kind of gentle pressure, I think, helps banking evolve. Now, banks also have a level of, because of the nature of banking, it's a very tight-knit community and a closed, in a way, a bit of a closed industry, right? Highly regulated. Banks also look at what other banks do. So it needed someone to start the dance, get on the dance floor first. And I think then many banks start to say, what are we doing in that space? And especially once banks became customer-centric, customers went, wow, finally, right? And suddenly that bank did well.
Yes.
So instantly it tells everyone else, maybe we should do the same, right? So banks were very good at replicating what other banks do. And that's what happened.
To the benefit of the customer.
To the benefit of the customer, yes.
Absolutely. How does Standard Chartered intend to stay ahead of its competitors once those competitors get wind of Standard Chartered's successes in, say, increasing customer loyalty scores? And therefore, the bank's bottom line is improving as well. But
Yeah.
how do you intend to stay ahead of those competitors who, as you just said, are watching you
Yeah.
and looking at what you're doing and probably wanting to replicate what you're doing? How are you going to stay ahead of them?
Okay. Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, the famous general, said
Yes.
that the army that wins the war is not the one with the biggest firepower, is the one with the best people and the best innovative people, right? Now, I'll park that thought for a minute. The second, it's like you would say, how would Ferrari as a car keep its market dominance in sports cars, even when others come, right? Let me draw on those two. One is people. You see, irrespective of the fact that others, in our rewards program has been out in the market now for a couple of years. And yes, there have been some attempts to copy it, etc. But two things make a difference in that work. First is the silo mentality within banks. You've got to break the silos, and that's not easy.
Yes.
Because in some banks, each silo is very, very powerful. And they would go, why should I participate in this? What is for common good, right? It's a bit tough. Second is platforms, technology. A lot of banking systems were built on legacy platforms, which were built to serve specific silos. But when you want to do customer-centric loyalty, you have to have a customer-centric view. If you don't have that, you have a problem. So, capability, people. If you put the right people, enable them in the right space, and give them the right technology and the backing, that's when they'll be successful. So I think we are already ahead in that game. So that would already give us a head start. The Ferrari example. Ferrari is perfectionist in their design. they try to design every element perfectly, right? So we of course have started this, and a couple of years ago in Hong Kong, Singapore, etc., and now 5 markets. We are on a continuous journey of trying to fine-tune that other little piece that we may need to fine-tune to make the experience better. So I think we are continuously trying to innovate to the next level. Let me give you some key elements that we've put in that are really different. For example, ours is the only program that allows you to instantly consolidate your points with other cardholders who might be your family in the bank. You just go online, you can consolidate, transfer, and redeem. Now, as a customer, if you think about it, you want something that's 10,000 points. You've got 9,500, but your wife's got the other 500. Now, if you have to call a call center, beg them for help, then wait for 2 days to do it, it's no fun. But imagine you could do it instantly. The second, we are the only platform that actually offers instant points top-up, live and dynamic. So if you went to our online site, redeemed a bunch of stuff, just like you would go shopping,
Sure.
You get to the shopping cart and you find, oops, we're short of points. It instantly offers you the exact number of points you need and allows you to buy it. It doesn't offer you a 1,000,000 point bucket that you have to buy and don't know what to do with. So it's these kind of little features that makes the customer see, this program has me in the center of it. That's just how a Ferrari would design its car around what the customer wants to experience. We believe that we would have the edge because we're constantly evolving on the basis of keeping the customer in the center and saying what matters. These things may seem like small things, but they sometimes can be huge irritants to a customer.
Of course.
Right?
And we're all banking customers, so we know.
Yes,
And we know how it can be.
And most banking customers, especially as you get more senior, you are asset rich, time poor.
Yes.
And if you're time poor, you're not just looking for a fast redemption, you're looking for something that has an intuitive feel about it.
Yes.
The same way Apple designs its products around with intuitive feel built into it.
Yes.
So somehow when you touch that button, it does what you expect it to do. Same thing. And that's the logic when we apply. So I really think, and I'd like to believe, we will stay ahead because at least industry players tell me that not all the banks have evolved to this level of strategic thinking on loyalty.
I see, that's fabulous news. Now that Standard Chartered has won this award, Excellence in Customer Centricity, what's next in recognizing and working with the concept of a customer's whole relationship? What's around the corner for the bank now that it's out in front?
See, we, over the last 2 years, globally, in the consumer bank have been, and across the wholesale bank have been evolving into a model of what wholesale calls client centricity and we call customer centricity. And there's a range of pillars that we put forward to create that internal transformation first, and then to externally get the transformation. I had the pleasure of being the architect in Hong Kong of how to do the internal and the external. So on the internal, we said we need to educate people what it means to become centric, and get them excited about it and embed it into daily practice. Around the external, we said there are 3 key elements customers look at, which is how are they served, are we solving their financial needs or are we just pushing products, and how are we rewarding their relationships. So we've now, having been down that journey for about 1.5 years or so, about 1.5 years to 2 years, we actually think that we've gotten the organization to now really breathe customer. So for what is ahead, a lot probably, because now when you have the power of, like say in Hong Kong, 3,200 people thinking about how can I make the customer happy profitably versus the management team of 20 people thinking, you start to get lots of innovations. Last year, through the year, we kept collecting what was called magic ideas. Little ideas, big ideas that came from the front line, from various places about how we can improve. Today, we've implemented over 200-300 of them. And all good ideas, but every little drop makes the ocean. So to us, we believe what is next in the corner? A lot, because now you're just opening up a new way of doing banking. That the customer, we hope, should really feel, this bank somehow knows me better, treats me well, does the right thing by me. And that would then mean we are here for good.
That's right. Mr. Basker Rangachari, thank you very much for your insightful comments on Standard Chartered Bank. And once again, congratulations on winning this very important award, Excellence in Customer Centricity. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.